Exterior. Berm overlooking the sea. Day. Sauron and Pre-Nazgul Khamul dismount horses and march to the top of a ridge with legions of orcs behind them. Sauron carries his mace. When they reach the top overlooking the sea, they behold the vastness of Ar-Pharazôn's navy. The legions of orcs are taken aback at the sight, while Sauron and Khamul remain impassive. Khamul. Yes, my lord. What is your honest assessment of our ability to repel this invading force? Khamul continues to stare at the Númenórean navy for a beat, then looks back at the shaky orc legions, then back to Sauron. My lord, your abilities are great, but your legions are not yet of sufficient metal to repel these forces before us. Body still facing the invaders, Sauron turns his head to the orc legions, peering at them from the corner of his eye. Very well then. You rabble can run back to Mordor. Run away? Sauron gestures dismissively. Go on, off with you. The orcs closest to Sauron and Khamul shout to the rest. Run away! Run away! Which carries through the ranks as they flee the field. Sauron then turns to Khamul. You too, Khamul. See to the completion of the fortifications in Núin. I want them at ready when I get back. When shall that be, my lord? Whenever. Just know that it shall be. Sauron hands his mace to Khamul. And take this back for safekeeping. Yes, my lord. With Sauron's mace in hand, Khamul mounts his horse and rides off with Sauron's horse following. Sauron turns back to the coast and gazes at Ar-Pharazôn's vast armada and the first landing craft dropping from the larger ships and arriving on shore. First to set foot on the beach is Ar-Pharazôn himself, drawing his sword to lead his men onward. Sauron cracks a wry smile. Ar-Pharazôn's navy sends my army scurrying like mice. To conquer mighty Númenor, let my tongue suffice. Sauron's armor falls away from his body and evaporates. He heads down the berm toward Ar-Pharazôn's forces, hands outstretched. When Ar-Pharazôn catches sight of Sauron, he strides toward him aggressively, ready to strike the Dark Lord down. Sauron falls to his knees and bows his head. I yield to you, O great Ar-Pharazôn, High King of Númenor. Where's your army, thou presumptive lord of the earth? Fled the field at the sight of your vast royal navy, sire. They are indeed far wiser than me. Ar-Pharazôn lifts his sword. Tell me, why, abhorrent one, should I not remove that treacherous head of yours right where you grovel? Sauron looks up in earnestness. Your grace, I am unworthy to fall by any blade, let alone one so fine as wielded by so great a king as thee. I am indeed abhorrent, but a fool, a wretch, a knave. Call me not Sauron, lord of the earth, but Zigur, the slave. Do with me as you wish. Sauron bows his head again. Ar-Pharazôn jabs his blade into the ground close to Sauron, brusquely lifting his submissive foe's chin and making eye contact. And what then shall I do with Zigur the slave? Sauron gazes softly in Ar-Pharazôn's eyes. Let me serve you, my king. Long pause. Then Ar-Pharazôn bursts out laughing and lightly smacks Sauron on the cheek. Rising, Ar-Pharazôn summons a couple of nearby kingsmen and sheathes his sword. Put him in the brig. I'll decide his fate when we return. Sauron cracks a smile again as the king's men bind his hands and lead him to a boat.